Tonight you get to set something down. Not because it never mattered, not because you should be over it, but because your hands are tired from carrying it. You have held so much. Memories with sharp edges, conversations you replay, choices you wish you could redo, moments you wish someone had seen you more clearly. And even if the past feels far away on the calendar, it can still feel close in the body. So let this be a gentle meeting with yourself, not a performance, not a test, just a quiet turning toward the part of you that is ready for a better today. Take one simple detail in the room where you are, the way light rests on a surface, the shape of a shadow, the ordinary steadiness of the floor beneath you. Let that detail be your small anchor. You're here. This is today. And for this moment, you are safe enough to be with your own heart. If your mind has been circling old scenes, please know this: it's not proof that you are broken. Often the mind returns to the past because it wants to protect you. It wants to solve what felt unsolved, to rewrite what felt unfair, to prevent the same hurt from happening again. Your mind may be trying to love you in the only way it learned, by staying on alert. So we're not going to fight it. We're going to offer it a new job, a softer job, a job that helps you live. My dear, you can honor what happened without living there. You can respect the imprint of your story while refusing to let it decide the mood of your morning, the softness of your evening, the way you speak to yourself. The past can be true without being current. Let that land gently. The past can be true without being current. Sometimes you carry the past like a heavy suitcase because you think putting it down means you'll lose the lesson. But wisdom does not need a bruise to stay remembered. You don't have to keep touching the wound to know what hurt you. You don't have to keep paying for an old moment to prove you learned from it. You can keep the wisdom and release the punishment. Here is a simple truth line to hold close. I am allowed to change my relationship to what happened. Not changing what happened, changing the relationship. That's what release is. Release is loosening the grip. Release is letting the story be a chapter, not the whole book. Release is letting today have a voice. And if you notice a harsh question rising in you, why am I still like this? Why can't I just move on? Try a kinder question instead. What part of me is asking for gentleness right now? What part of me wants to be held, not fixed? What part of me needs permission to rest? I honor my story, and I choose mine now. I honor my story, and I choose mine now. Let's talk about self-blame, because it can be one of the stickiest ways the past stays attached. Self-blame disguises itself as responsibility. It says, if I punish myself enough, I'll prevent this from happening again. If I replay it enough, I'll find the moment where I could have controlled everything. But control is not the same as wisdom, and punishment is not the same as growth. Sweet one, you can learn without condemning yourself. You can take responsibility where it is truly yours and release what was never yours to carry. You can say, I did what I could with what I knew and still choose to do differently now. You can be honest without being cruel. When you hear the phrase, "I should have known," notice how it tightens you. It makes the past a courtroom. It makes your heart a defendant. But you are not here to prosecute yourself. You are here to be with yourself. So try this thought swap gently. Instead of "I should have known," you can say, "I was learning." Instead of "I ruined everything," you can say, "I am growing." Instead of "I can't forgive myself," you can say, "I am willing to be kinder." And here is an affirmation you can let be simple and believable. I release shame. I keep my learning. I release shame. I keep my learning. Now a small chorus for your heart, like a soft lamp you can turn on. I release the weight of yesterday. I welcome the mercy of today. Some days you may feel ready to forgive, other days you may not, and that is still okay. Because forgiveness is not a deadline, it's a direction. It is not a demand you place on your nervous system. It is not a rule that says you must feel warm toward what hurt you. Forgiveness can be as quiet as unhooking your attention from an old argument. Forgiveness can be as strong as choosing not to rehearse someone else's cruelty in your mind. Forgiveness can be a boundary. Forgiveness can be a release. Forgiveness can be saying, "I will not keep bleeding for this." If someone hurt you, you are not required to pretend it was fine. If you hurt someone, you are not required to live forever inside the worst version of yourself. In both cases, love can be honest. Love can tell the truth and still choose freedom. Here is a truth line that doesn't rush you. I can soften where I'm ready, not everywhere, not all at once, just where you're ready. And here is a gentle permission. You may forgive in layers. You may forgive a little, then pause. You may forgive the fact that you are human. You may forgive your younger self for not having the tools you have now. You may forgive your heart for trying to survive. I soften where I'm ready, and I protect what matters. I soften where I'm ready, and I protect what matters. And let me offer a vow, not as pressure, but as devotion. I will not rush my healing, and I will not abandon myself. I will not rush my healing, and I will not abandon myself. If the past shows up suddenly, you don't have to panic. You don't have to argue with the memory. You can return to your senses like stepping onto solid ground. You might notice a sound in the distance, the hum of a fan, a bird outside, the quiet of a room. You might notice the feeling of fabric against your skin. You might notice the steadiness of your breath moving in and out. These small details are not trivial. They are doorways back to now. A memory can be loud. A memory can be convincing. A memory can say, "This is happening again." But a memory is not the present moment. A memory is a visitor from another time. And you can greet it with kindness and still keep your feet here. Here is an affirmation you can use like a hand on your own shoulder. I am here now, and here is safe enough. I am here now, and here is safe enough. Sometimes your thoughts move like weather. A worry cloud drifts in. A regret cloud darkens the edge of your day. But you are not the cloud. You are the sky that holds it. The cloud passes. the sky remains. You remain. So when the past calls your name, try this gentle sequence. Notice the cue. Name it kindly. Choose one present detail, then choose one kind action. Not a grand transformation, just one small action that supports you. Because welcoming a better today doesn't mean you suddenly feel perfect. It means you give today a chance. It means you stop requiring yourself to be someone who never made mistakes, never got hurt, never trusted the wrong person, never stayed too long, never left too soon. A better today is built from small choices: a glass of water, a slower sentence, a boundary you honor, a moment where you speak to yourself like someone worth caring for. Here is a truth line to remember. Small choices are how trust is rebuilt, not all at once, not in a dramatic leap, in small, steady steps. If you want a simple list of next kind things, let it be short and gentle. Drink something. Unclench your jaw. Put a hand where you feel tense. Choose one task, not 10. Tell yourself the truth without the insult. And let this affirmation be a quiet door opening. Today, I choose what supports me. Today, I choose what supports me. Let me share a small story, not to teach you a lesson, but to offer you companionship. There was a woman named Mira who kept rereading an old message on her phone. It was not even a long message, just a few lines that carried a familiar sting. Some days, she reread it like a bruise she couldn't stop touching. She told herself she was being realistic, that she was keeping the memory sharp so she wouldn't be fooled again. But each time she read it, her shoulders tightened. Her stomach sank. Her face changed as if the past had stepped into the room. One evening, Mira noticed she was holding her breath while she read. She set the phone down and let air move through her chest. She looked at the window and watched the way the night reflected the room back at her. And she realized something tender. Reading it again wasn't protecting her anymore. It was punishing her. It was keeping the wound open to prove it was real. As if she needed proof. Mira didn't delete the message in a dramatic moment. She didn't make a speech. She simply moved it into an archive folder. A small act, not denial, a boundary. She told herself, "This mattered, and I don't need to reopen it to remember." Then she stood up, washed a glass, and drank water slowly. She went to bed without rehearsing her argument. The next day, the past still existed, but it didn't get to lead the day by the hand. What I love about Mira's choice is how ordinary it was. No fireworks, just dignity. Just a small shift from reactivity to care. And you can do that too, my love. You can keep what matters and release what wounds you. You can take the lesson and let the sting soften. You can choose not to reopen the same door every time you walk past it. Now let's gather what we've touched so far in a small recap you can hold. You are not erasing the past. You are releasing the grip of shame. You are returning to your senses. You are choosing one kinder step. If you feel resistance, that's okay. Sometimes we resist letting go because the past has become a familiar companion. It has sat with you during lonely hours. It has explained your caution. It has justified your walls. And when you begin to release it, you may feel strangely exposed, as if you are stepping into open air. But open air is where breath lives. Open air is where newness can enter. Let your gentleness be practical. If you find yourself spiraling into old scenes, you can say, I notice I'm going there, not with judgment, with kindness. Then you can ask a soft question. What do I need in this moment? Comfort, clarity, or a boundary? Sometimes you need comfort. Sometimes you need clarity. Sometimes you need a boundary with your own mind. Comfort might sound like, it makes sense that this still hurts. Clarity might sound like, that moment is over. I am here. A boundary might sound like, I am not reliving this tonight. And if you want another affirmation to meet you right where you are, I give myself permission to begin again. I give myself permission to begin again. Release can also mean releasing the fantasy that the past could have been different if you had been different. That fantasy is seductive because it gives you the illusion of control. If I had said the perfect thing, if I had been more beautiful, more calm, more certain, more brave, then I would have been safe. But your safety was never meant to depend on perfection. Your worth was never meant to depend on getting everything right. Here is a truth line that can soften your chest. My worth is not up for debate. Not by old memories, not by old judgments, not by old mistakes. You can take a moment now to speak to the version of you who lived that chapter, not as a critic, as a friend. You might say, you did your best. You might say, you were doing what you knew. You might say, I'm here with you now. You might say, you don't have to carry this alone anymore. And let this affirmation be a homecoming. I am on my own side. I am on my own side. Sometimes releasing the past also means releasing the identity you built around it. The one who always has to explain. The one who always has to prove. The one who always has to anticipate disappointment. Those identities were protective. They were creative. They were ways your heart tried to stay intact. So honor them. And then, gently, you can loosen them. You can try on a new identity, just for today. The one who is allowed to be here. The one who is allowed to rest. The one who is allowed to trust small things again. Trust does not have to be dramatic. It can be as simple as trusting your next breath. Trusting your ability to pause before reacting. Trusting that you can handle a feeling without making it a life sentence. If your mind says, but what if I let go and it happens again? Answer with tenderness. If it happens again, I will meet it with wiser love. Not with panic, with wiser love. And if you're skeptical, If a part of you says, words won't change anything, I understand. Words alone aren't magic. But words can be a doorway. Words can turn the inner lights on. Words can help you treat yourself differently. And treating yourself differently changes how you move through today. So here is a gentle question, not to corner you, but to open a window. What would change if you stopped using your pain as proof that you must stay on guard? What would soften if you let today be innocent until proven otherwise? You don't have to answer perfectly. Just let the question rest in you like a seed. Now, another small recap so your other small attention can settle. You are allowed to remember without reliving. You are allowed to learn without punishing. You are allowed to soften without excusing. You are allowed to choose today. And in this choosing, you may notice something subtle, a little more space around the memory, a little less urgency to fix it, a little more breath. That is enough. That is real. There is another way the past clings, the urge to get a final verdict. You may want a stamp that says, now it makes sense, or now I'm safe, or now I'm forgiven. But life is not always neat. Sometimes the only closure available is the closure you give yourself. And that kind of closure is not dramatic. It is devotional. It is you choosing to stop reopening the file at midnight. It is you choosing to speak to yourself with respect even when you feel tender. If you have been waiting for someone to apologize so you can finally exhale, I want to say this carefully. An apology can be meaningful, and it can also be absent. You can hope for it without hinging your peace on it, because your peace is too precious to be held hostage. You can still release the past with love, even if another person never names what they did. Releasing does not mean agreeing. It means reclaiming your energy. Sometimes, love looks like a clear boundary with your own attention. It looks like saying, I will not keep giving my best hours to my worst memory. It looks like protecting your morning from old conversations. It looks like letting your mind be a garden again, not a courtroom. Think of your attention as water. Whatever you water grows. When you water regret, regret grows roots. When you water resentment, resentment becomes thick and thorny. When you water kindness, something soft begins to open. You do not have to shame yourself for what you have been watering. You can simply decide today to water something else, even a little. And if you're thinking, but I don't feel kind, that's okay. Kindness can start as behavior before it becomes a feeling. You can choose a kind sentence even when your chest is still tight. You can choose a kind action even when your mind is still doubtful. Feelings often follow the direction you practice. Let's bring this down to something practical and small. When the past arrives, it often arrives in one of three ways. It arrives as a picture, a scene that flashes in your mind. It arrives as a sentence, something someone said or something you said, looping again and again. Or it arrives as a sensation, a heaviness, a tight throat, a restless stomach, a sudden heat in the face. None of these are wrong. They're just signals. And you can meet signals with care. If it arrives as a picture, You can gently remind yourself that is an image from another time. You can let your eyes take in what is actually in front of you, here, now. If it arrives as a sentence, you can notice it as sound, words, not prophecy. If it arrives as a sensation, you can offer it one respectful breath and one respectful hand. Not to fix it instantly, just to acknowledge it without panic. Here is a quiet practice you can return to any day, and it doesn't require you to do it perfectly. You choose one word for what you feel. Just one. Sad. Angry. Ashamed. Lonely. Tired. Uncertain. Then you choose one word for what you need. Comfort. Space. Truth. Rest. Support. Time. Then you choose one word for what you will do next. Drink. Walk. Write. Stretch. Stop. Ask. 3 words. A small bridge from memory to moment. This is not a cure for being human. It is a way of being with yourself. Sometimes the past stays sticky because it contains grief. Not only grief for what happened, but grief for what didn't happen. Grief for the care you didn't receive. Grief for the safety you wanted. Grief for the version of you that deserved tenderness and got something else. If that is part of your story, please don't rush yourself. Grief is love with nowhere to go, and you can give it somewhere to go. You can give it your compassion. You can give it your patience. You can give it a place in your heart that isn't an emergency room, more like a quiet room with a chair and warm light. And if the past includes regret, remember this. Regret is often a sign that you are more awake now than you were then. It means you have grown. It means you can see. So rather than using regret as a weapon, you can use it as evidence of your evolution. You can say, I see what I didn't see. You can say, I would choose differently now. You can let that be enough. If you need to make amends, you can do it without turning it into self-erasure. An amends can be as simple as telling the truth, taking responsibility, and changing the behavior you can change. You do not have to beg for punishment to prove sincerity. Sincerity is shown through what you practice. And even if someone does not receive your amends, the integrity of your intention still matters. You are allowed to grow in dignity. Releasing the past with love also means letting love be directed toward you, not only toward others. So many people can imagine being gentle with a friend, but they become harsh with themselves. If you can soften your voice by even 1 degree, that is real progress. If you can replace one insult with one honest, kind sentence, that is a better today. You might say to yourself, I am not proud of that moment, and I am still worthy of care. You might say, I can take responsibility without destroying myself. You might say, I am learning how to be safe with my own heart. Notice the difference between accountability and attack. Accountability says, I will do better. Attack says, I am bad. Accountability keeps you moving. Attack keeps you stuck. So whenever you catch the mind turning toward attack, you can gently return to accountability. This is how love becomes practical. Sometimes the past persists, because you're still trying to be understood by someone who isn't listening. You may be rehearsing your explanation, your defense, your speech that would finally make them see. And I want to offer you this possibility. You may never get that audience. But you can become your own witness. You can give yourself the understanding you needed. You can say, I know what I meant. You can say, I know what I went through. You can say, I believe me. Being your own witness does not make you arrogant. It makes you whole. It means you stop outsourcing your worth. It means you stop waiting at a door that may never open. And if you are carrying anger, let's speak of it with respect. Anger is often love's bodyguard. It shows up when a boundary was crossed, when something precious in you was not honored. Anger does not have to be destructive. It can be informative. It can point you toward what you value. It can help you choose a different standard for what you allow. You can thank it for its message, and you can still choose a peaceful day. Sometimes releasing anger means releasing the idea that you must win the past. You don't have to win the argument to be free. You don't have to have the last word to have your life back. You can step out of the ring. You can choose to stop sparring with ghosts. You can use your strength for living. If your mind feels noisy, you can treat it like a room full of talking radios. You don't have to smash the radios. You can simply turn the volume down. How? By returning to something neutral and present. A sip of water. The feeling of your feet. A small task that belongs to now. Neutrality is powerful. It's the space where your system remembers that not every moment is an emergency. And there may be days when you try all of this and still feel pulled back into the old loop. That does not mean you failed. It means you are practicing. Practice is not linear. Practice is you showing up again. Practice is you returning to love again, even if it's the 10th time today. Especially if it's the 10th time today. You may also notice that the past grows louder when you are hungry, overtired, lonely, or overwhelmed. Not because you are weak, but because you are human. So be kind about your capacity. A better today can begin with meeting your basic needs. This is not glamorous, but it is wise. Here is a gentle question to hold, like a lantern in the hallway. What would be the most respectful thing I can do for myself in the next 10 minutes? Not the most impressive thing, not the most punishing thing, the most respectful thing. Sometimes the respectful thing is to stop scrolling. Sometimes it's to go outside for a few minutes. Sometimes it's to tidy one small corner. Sometimes it's to reach out to a trustworthy person. Sometimes it's to simply say, I'm having a hard moment and I'm still here. Now, if you like metaphors, let this one meet you softly. Think of your past like sea glass. It may have begun as something sharp. Time and water and movement can smooth the edges. The glass does not disappear. It becomes something you can hold without bleeding. That is what love can do. Not erase, soften. And another image, just for today. Your life is a tapestry still being woven. Some threads are dark, some are bright. But a single dark thread does not define the whole cloth. It adds depth. It adds contrast. And you are not required to stare at one section forever. You can lift your gaze and see the wider pattern. You can keep weaving. When you welcome a better today, you are not declaring that everything is fine. You are declaring that you are present. You are declaring that you will not let yesterday steal every sunrise. You are declaring that your tenderness deserves a future. So if you want to choose one tiny ritual for releasing the past with love, let it be this. Each time you notice you've traveled back, you return with one act of care. You return by putting your attention on something real. You return by choosing a kinder sentence. You return by doing one small thing that supports the life you are building. Over time, the return becomes familiar. Over time, your system learns, I can come back. Over time, today becomes a safer home. And if you need a final reminder before we close this middle space, you do not have to be ready for the whole journey. You only have to be willing for this moment. Willingness is enough to begin. And if tonight is messy, let it be messy with kindness. You are not late. You are not failing. You are arriving. One breath, one choice, one gentle return. This is how the future recognizes you again. My dear, welcome a better today. Not because every problem is solved, but because you are here, because you are willing, because you are learning how to hold your story with tenderness. May your heart feel a little lighter as you move forward. May your breath feel a little freer. May your next step be kind. And when the past knocks, may you remember, you can open the door with love, and you can also choose when to close it. You belong to today.